Hey up folks, how you doing? It's James, JT at the movies, back again with my lovely girl Laura.
Hello.
As I'm sure a lot of people are at this moment in time, we're in self-isolation. Thankfully neither me or Laura are actually unwell, but somebody in the household is showing the symptoms, so we're following our government guidelines and making sure that we're staying safe. So whilst we're not able to leave the house and needing to make sure that we're obviously doing the self-isolating bit properly, we thought, well, we'll watch a few movies and maybe do like a bit of a mini marathon and a mini blog to go with that. So we're going to come to you. There's no theme, there's no agenda with this other than we've picked a load of movies off the shelf that we've either not seen or not seen in a very long time. We're going to watch them and then come back to you with our very quick thoughts on each. It should probably only be a 10-15 minute video all in.
Yeah, definitely.
But we shall see you after the first film.
Yeah.
Now then, folks, how we doing? We're back after our first film. Excuse me, this is fresh out of the shower. And a quick comb through it. Yeah, we just watched Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings film. Do you know, it's the first time I've seen it through in its entirety. I've seen the first half of it before, I've seen like the last half of it before, and various other parts. I have seen the whole film, just not in one sitting. And we just decided we'd have a watch of that, and right, enjoyed it. Yeah, it's not normally my cup of tea, isn't that sort of fantasy sort of adventure? You know, with all that sort of medieval and sort of dragons and all, you know, sort of hobbits and hobbits is the term for that. Isn't it? Not normally my cup of tea, but I've been meaning to sit down and watch for a while, and I'm glad that I have. Yeah, I thought it were all right. Good cast, good story, very well put together with Peter Jackson's direction. And I'll probably check out the sequels. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, for personal reasons, I have a bit of a connection to this film on a personal level, and it's taken me a while to watch it, due to another reason I won't go into. But now that I've seen it again, I feel better for watching it. Yeah, good. And to be fair, it's got a really good storyline on it, very good setup for the other films. Like you were saying, good cast. You've got Ian McKellen, you've got Elijah Wood, Sean Bean, and
Viggo Mortensen. Yeah, there's John
So
Rhys
many
Davis,
people.
and there's so many fantastic actors in there. Like I said, just quick fire thoughts, nothing in depth. I'm gonna go 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
6.5 and a 7. See you after our next film. Cheers. Hey, up again. So we've just watched our second film, which was The Big Short. It's based on the true story of the US financial crash that started off the recession in 2008. The story is when four outsiders take on the US banking system to basically take down the biggest fraud that's been committed in US banking history. It's got Christian Bale in it, Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Brad Pitt, and a whole host of other people. It's one of those films that sort of tells the story from different angles, and you know, we join different people on different parts of their journey, and yeah, it sort of keeps it going. Do you know one thing I liked about this one, Laura? I liked how, like, you know, they got quite into the banking terminology and didn't try and sort of dumb anything down when they were doing the actual scenes, but then they sort of played a few things for laughs. Like at one point they had Margot Robbie in a bathtub sort of saying, right, well, this is what they've just said, and put it in layman's terms. And they got a TV chef to do another bit, and there was somebody else, wasn't there? And then there were bits where they'd stop and break the fourth wall, almost a bit like Wolf of Wall Street. Where it would go, right, okay, well, this didn't really happen like this, but, you know, for the purpose of cinema, this is how we're doing it. But what really happened was, and I just thought it was, you know, equal parts fascinating, you know, depressing, and sort of, you know, had a bit of humour to it as well. Fascinating, really, an absolutely fascinating story.
Definitely, yeah, definitely fascinating. It's interesting to see what the kind of things that happened that year. I mean, 2008, I was 13 or something like that, and I was still in school, so I wasn't really in tune with what was happening. So these different adaptions you get, books and films, which focus on events like that, it's really interesting to see. And like you said, the fact that they use actual financial jargon and things like that, I think really...
Yeah, it just made the whole thing more believable. They didn't try and dumb anything down for anybody, but then they they put quite a clever motif in the
Yeah.
breaking away, and like say having the Margot Robbie or the chef or whoever
Basically dumbing it down, yeah.
and doing the dumbing it down bit sort of thing, and almost put like a comedic spin on actually some very serious subject matter, but did it in a tasteful way as well. I thought that was a really good film. It deserved its Oscar nominations. I can't remember whether it did win Best Picture or not. I'll have to look that up. But certainly a great film, and yeah, definitely a good shout for a Best Picture if it didn't win it.
Yeah.
I have to find that out now. What would you rate it?
I give it a 6.
Fair enough. I'm going to go 7, same as the last film we watched. I enjoyed that. We'll see you after the next one.
Yeah.
Hey folks, we're back again. So we've just finished watching our third film of our little marathon, which I've put over here. It is King Solomon's Mines. This is obviously based on the... I've forgotten who wrote the novel now. I've forgotten who wrote the novel. Never mind. Not really a problem. It's based on a novel from the 1890s anyway. Obviously has the character Alan Quatermain in it. And the story is basically that Jessie, played by Sharon Stone, enlists Alan Quatermain, played by Richard Chamberlain, to help basically recover her kidnapped father, who's been on the hunt for King Solomon's Mines. The whole thing basically just kind of played out. I mean, I've not read the original book, so I don't know how the book reads, but the film came out in the wake of Raiders and Temple, and it very much played off as a bit of a knockoff of one of them, didn't it? Don't you think? I mean, the way that Richard Chamberlain's character's dressed up is, you know, he's pretty much Indiana Jones, and heck, they've even got John Rhys Davies in there. He plays sort of the villain of the piece. Obviously, he plays Salah in the indie series. But the first 2 acts of the film are more or less kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then the third act of the film's kind of like the end of Raiders mixed with the end of Temple. It's not one that's very well received from what I've read. It's the first time I've watched it, actually.
Did you say it only had like an 8% approval rating?
Yeah, 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it's alright, just a good bit of popcorn fun, to be fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything special, but then again, I didn't go into it thinking that it was going to be. Yeah, so apparently it was part of a planned trilogy, but they only made 2 parts. I've actually got the second part upstairs in the movie space, and might get round to watching that soon. We're going to have a lot more free time given recent announcements. What was your thought?
I felt it was a bit all over the place.
Yeah?
Like, there was a lot of stuff that you could tell kind of made it serious, but at the same time didn't make it as serious as it was probably aiming to be.
Yeah, like it didn't know what it wanted to be, almost.
Yeah. There were... It was good. Like you said, popcorn fun, I think, is what it's come out as. They were probably aiming for something more than that, but... No, I liked it in that way. It was a nice little bit of fun movie that you can pay attention to, things like that. Yeah, and it did have a really good indie feel to it as well, which I thought was good.
Do you know, that's what I thought it had going for it for me, is the fact that it felt like Indiana Jones and it was that sort of an adventure.
Yeah,
it's not something I'll rush to watch again, but like I say, I might check out the sequel in the coming weeks and months and see whether that's an improvement or more of the same.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 5 out of 10 for that one. I enjoyed it. It was middle of the road, and so 5 out of 10. What would you say?
I'd say the same, 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Well, we'll move on now to our next film. I haven't quite decided what it is, but we'll see you after it. Cheers. Hey up folks, back again. Penultimate film of the day, at least for now. We just watched Hard Rain. And it's not amazing, is it? It was average. Do you know what? I've not seen this since I was probably about maybe 6 or 7. My dad had it on one Saturday night, and I remember liking the premise enough to thinking when I saw this in a second-hand shop when I'd sort of started working and stuff as a teenager, that I liked the idea enough to pick it up. But truth be told, I must have had this DVD in my collection 10 years now, and I've still not watched it until tonight. There's a town that's flooded. The dam's about to explode. There's bank robbers wanting to rob an armoured truck. They're led by Morgan Freeman. There's a sheriff's department that is run by Randy Quaid. I forget his name. Oh, Mark Rolston. Credits are in front of us on the screen behind us. that he's like the second in command, and they're sort of revealed halfway through, sort of like a third act twist to be sort of bent cops, aren't they? And they're thinking, well, they'll try getting the money as well. And then there's she's called Karen in the film. It's Minnie Driver, and she ends up getting sort of involved in all the plot sort of thing. And then Christian Slater plays the chap who's driving the armoured bank truck. And it's just basically a bit of a, it's like a disaster movie meets heist movie meets survival meets adventure. A bit of everything in there. Betty White's got a bit of an extended cameo. She's quite funny, her, and the chap who plays her husband in that. It's just nothing to write home about. It were alright. There's that third act twist where the coppers seem to really, for no sort of justification or reason, other than the sort of the typical I've worked for the system for so many years and it's time they give me something back sort of a motif. There's no real, unless I blinked and missed it, though, there was no real reason why they sort of decided they were going to steal the money, was there?
No, not really, no.
No. And so that Christian Slater's good guy ends up sort of teaming up with Morgan Freeman's bad guy, and it's that uneasy alliance until the coppers show up at the end sort of thing. What did you think?
To be fair, it was the same. I didn't really rate it. There were a couple of interesting bits in it, like there's one scene where there's a police officer trying to escape a prison cell that's flooding and he's underwater for long periods of time. I don't like scenes like that. They start to fill me with a little bit of anxiety.
Well, that's Christian Slater, isn't it? He's not a copper. He's the security driver for the armoured truck for the bank, isn't he?
But he gets stuck in a police cell and it's flooding. You get to see Betty White with a shotgun at one point, which I think is quite funny. I don't know why, I find it funny when old people are using weapons.
Betty White's just an international treasure, isn't she?
She is. She's an international treasure, yeah. No, I didn't really rate it, to be honest. It was okay. There were certain bits that were good. And I would watch it again, probably just not for a while.
Yeah, do you know what? It's passable.
Yeah.
And I wasn't offended by it. It wasn't so bad. I was like, oh my god, what have I just watched? But
I'd give it a C-.
We're doing this in numbers, dear. I think I'd go same as the last film I watched. 5 out of 10. Just run of the mill, popcorn fun. You phoned your mum during it, didn't you?
Yeah.
And she went, "Oh my god, it's dross," and I'd be inclined to agree. But you can watch it. So that was Hard Rain. I think we've decided there were a choice of 3 films that we could have watched as our final film. We've got the first Iron Man film, 2008, Robert Downey Jr. I can't remember exactly when from the 90s, but 12 Monkeys, Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, and then 1978 Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. We decided we're going to go for Dawn of the Dead and have some classic zombies.
Proper zombies.
Proper zombies, yeah. We might have a look at Iron Man and some of the MCU films at a later stage, and decided that, again, given that current climate that we're in as a planet at the moment, perhaps 12 Monkeys is not probably the film to watch.
Best film. No.
So we'll see you after Dawn of the Dead for probably what will be the last film of the day. Mm-hmm. Cheers. Hello, so we're back. It is the next day now. We were both a bit tired and a bit fed up last night after after the updates and stuff on the TV. So we gave up about half an hour into Dawn of the Dead and picked it up. Well, it's early afternoon now, but we've had a bit of food and I've done a bit of work from home today and whatnot, and made a few calls and stuff, and done a few chores, haven't we? Around the house, so we picked this up again now. This is the last film of this little mini marathon that we're gonna do. Oh, I love this film. Laura, what did you think?
George Romero was one of my favourite movie directors. He really is. He knows every little aspect you need for a really, really good zombie film. He knows all those little features and all those little things you need in it, and he gets it bang on right. Yeah,
it's like the horror is perfectly balanced with the comedy and the suspense and the thrills and just a really well put together piece. He is absolutely the granddaddy of it all, isn't he? He really is.
He's sort of what started the ball rolling for zombie films as well, like a proper good zombie film.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. it's a long time since I've seen Night of the Living Dead. I'm gonna have to give that another watch. Day of the Dead so far, I think is my favourite of the trilogy. This Dawn comes in a good second place. Just a little thing. This is the DVD version. I've only just picked it up, but this is from Arrow Video. The Blu-ray for Dawn of the Dead on its own is massively out of print. You can't get it anywhere. And I stumbled across this on Amazon for £15, and it's the trilogy. It's put out by Arrow Video, and it's the DVD. It's not loaded with special features, but the films themselves are really good transfers, fantastic. And my copy did come with a little sort of behind-the-scenes booklet. It does have some commentaries on it with Tom Savini, George Romero. And there are a few little featurettes on it, but not the same extent you'd get with an Arrow Blu-ray. But if you're after picking this up, it's not readily available. And the trilogy for £15 in a nice set. It's got the it's got the artwork for each case that looks like that, but then it's also got the reversible artwork that has the poster art, which I really liked. Definitely worth picking up for any collectors out there. But absolutely loved it. The basic premise of this one, as we know, is there's the 4 survivors, the 2 police officers and the young couple. They're bunkering down in a mall, they're making a go of life, and then ultimately obviously the zombies are there, they keep them at bay, things are going fine, and then a biker gang breaks in and all hell breaks loose. That's pretty much the film, really.
Yeah. The zombies win.
But they do in every Romero one, don't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, there's not much more to say about it, really. I think the fact that the plot is so simple and it's almost a character piece, isn't it? You're following the lives of the 4 people, and like there's what's he called now? It's not. Is it Roger? The blonde-haired copper who's hot wiring all the trucks, and he ultimately gets bitten. He's the first to turn, isn't he? And as he becomes more careless, more reckless with everything that he's doing. And then after he's been bitten, he just doesn't care, and that character development's really good. And then there's Steve, isn't there, who's the husband or the partner of the couple that are there, and obviously him and his partner Francine are expecting the baby, and then when that's quite sad because obviously she's like, well, he's been gone for hours, there must be a problem. I'm going to look for him, and Pete, the other copper, knows that if he's not here at this point, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I really liked the interplay with all the characters and stuff like that, and then like you were saying, the musical motifs and things like that.
They've been used for inspiration for other films like the very funny Shaun of the Dead by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, which George Romero himself said was the perfect Mickey take of one of his films. It was one of his favourites, and all the music used in this is used in different parts of Shaun of the Dead.
Absolutely, but the music in this, it's got the suspense, it's got the comedy, it encapsulates everything that it wants to be. I absolutely understand why that gets such a high rating and is held in such high regard. It's getting an 8 out of 10 from me.
Definitely 8 out of 10 from me as well.
And there you go. So that was our mini quarantine vlog, and we'll see you for whatever we end up doing next. Take care. Cheers.